NFL preseason action continuing on Saturday, and for Chicago Bears #1 overall draft pick Caleb Williams, pretty good looking day. His second start in the preseason, 6 of 13 for 75 yards and a touchdown, a 7-yard rushing touchdown, as it turned out for Caleb, as the Bears once again looked pretty good, this time against the Cincinnati Bengals. Let's welcome in former defensive lineman Douzable, who before we came on was telling me he's pretty happy he didn't have to be out there chasing Caleb Williams around today. But just want to get your thoughts to start here. What did you think of what you saw from Williams on his second start in the preseason?
Yeah, Jeremy, a bit of a mixed bag. Last week, I thought home run debut by the young rookie going against the Buffalo Bills. Some of the things that I wanted to see was him operate from within the pocket. We knew how special he was outside of the pocket, but he was able to do that on that big third down completion to DJ Moore on 3rd and 12. Well, I felt in this game, Jeremy, he didn't operate as well in the pocket, and that tends to happen when you're a rookie quarterback. You're going to have some ups and downs, but I love the way he responded. He really struggled in that first series. He went 0-3 his first 3 throws. One was a throw to the outside that got him on the move on the first 2 plays on bootleg. He was high on one. He was behind on the other one, and then the incomplete pass on 3rd down. But what made him so special at USC is what we saw today, Jeremy. That play to Rome Odunze, I don't think people understand how hard it is to be drifting left when you're a right-hand quarterback, to square your shoulders up, throw the ball to get enough torque on it where you put the ball where it literally drops in the bucket for Rome Odunze when he runs and catches it. I remember after seeing that play, I took to Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, Jeremy, and said, that's USC Caleb Williams throwing to Washington Rome Odunze, because that is what both of those guys did in college. And then the next play might have been even greater, Jeremy, even though it was an incomplete pass, right? Feels some pressure, evades, goes to the right, makes the defensive end stumble a little bit, gets back outside of him, and throws it to the back of the end zone. You see the arm strength to Rome Odunze, who couldn't keep 2 feet in bounds, and then the improv king does it on 3rd down in the goal line scenario, right? Now, in that play, Jeremy, I wish he would have stayed in the pocket a little bit more. I felt like he felt some phantom pressure, but you saw how special he was with his mobility, being able to get out to the left, and then Telvin Jenkins just literally escorts him to the end zone because nobody was open, and he scampers into the end zone. So this is what I expected from Caleb Williams. Yes, he's a really good young quarterback, but he's still a rookie. There's going to be some ups and downs. Again, great debut last week. He turned it on late in the second quarter this week, but really struggled in the first quarter.
Right, and there were comparisons to Patrick Mahomes in terms of the off-platform plays that he was trying to make, and some of that he did make. And I mean, we have to understand it's the second week of the preseason, just to pump the brakes a little bit. But Lige, to that end, what do you need to see more of from Caleb Williams?
It's what I talked about in the beginning, Jeremy, just him operating from the pocket, right? Living within the offense. We know how special this kid can be outside of the pocket with the off-platform throws you talked about, and also his mobility to keep plays alive and even potentially pick up first downs. But I want to see him continue to get better from within the pocket. Go through those progressions. Trust your O-line, because they were really blocking really well for him, Jeremy. So sometimes, at the quarterback position or just players, period, we tend to feel pressure when it's not there. And that's where you have to take that next step in your development as a young quarterback, right? Not feeling that phantom pressure. Like, just because somebody is near your vicinity doesn't mean that's actual pressure or you're in danger of getting sacked, right? Trust your pocket, stay in it, even step up and maneuver in the pocket if you have to throw the ball down the field. That's where I want to see Caleb Williams grow.
Their final preseason game is against the Kansas City Chiefs. He's going to see Patrick Mahomes, perhaps, certainly not for an extended period of time. But do you think that we see Williams for an extended period in that game? Played the first half here, or is the expectation is that maybe they play him for a little bit and then rest him as they prep for Week 1 versus the Titans?
Jeremy, it'll be real interesting because we've seen different coaches in the way they treat the preseason versus the cross practices totally different. We see Andy Reid putting his starters out there the first 2 preseason games, right? We saw the Atlanta Falcons last night. They didn't even play Michael Penix Jr., who was their backup. There's a lot of coaches not even playing the backup quarterback because so many quarterbacks got injured last year. They want to make sure they have a viable backup just in case something happens to the starter. I honestly don't believe, because he played a whole half, that Caleb Williams or the starters go out there the 3rd preseason game. Now, again, the only way to get better as a rookie is to actually have live game action. But I feel like him playing in that first quarter versus Buffalo, him playing a whole half in the Chicago game will be enough for him to get ready as they prepare for week 1 versus the Tennessee Titans. I don't believe we see Caleb Williams the third game.
In terms of this offense, a lot of people are high on it with Caleb, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, DeAndre Swift, Rome Odunze. How high are you on this offense, or perhaps the potential of this offense?
I think you used the perfect word, Jeremy, potential, right? And that's the thing when you talk about a rookie quarterback, and everybody wonders, could he have a C.J. Stroud type year? But those are lofty expectations. The thing with a rookie is you're going to get some ups and downs. We kind of talked about it already, Jeremy, how good he looked week 1 versus the Buffalo Bills, and then coming out week 2, struggled a little bit in the first corner. It's going to take him a while to really trust in that offensive line, to trust the system, to trust in going through his progressions, to not rely on his athletic ability, to not rely on his wizardry all the time, right? So I think this offense has the potential to be one of the top or most explosive offenses in football, but it all comes down to the development of Caleb Williams. You talked about some of the pieces he has on the outside. He has 2 true number 1 receivers in Keenan Allen and DJ Moore, and you know my affinity, Jeremy, for Rome Odunze. I feel like he's going to be the number 1 receiver out of this draft class when it's all said and done. 2 really good tight ends in Gerald Everett and Cole Kmet, and a solid offensive line. And we didn't even mention DeAndre Swift, who didn't play today, who had his most explosive year last year with the Philadelphia Eagles. So this is an offense that could be a top 10 offense depending on the development of Caleb Williams. That's what it comes down to.
Lige, when you look at this NFC North, I mean, you have the Kings of the North, the Lions, the Green Bay Packers are on the rise, Chicago on the rise. We don't know what Minnesota's going to look like because of the fact the Vikings are just getting decimated by injuries right now. But when you look at the Bears and how they stack up in this NFC North, what's the ceiling for them for you?
To me, would be to sneak in as a wild card. I still think the Bears are a year away, and that's just because there's so much onus on the quarterback position and Caleb Williams. Now, I really love what this team has done. Jeremy, I can't remember a time ever a number 1 overall pick was thrust into a scenario or situation like this where he has the weapons on the outside. He has a solid offensive line, but more importantly, he has a defense he can lean on, Jeremy. You saw that defense not only last year week versus Buffalo in preseason week 1, but this week as well for Cincinnati be stifling. Well, that's exactly what they did down the stretch last year, Jeremy. They were the number 1 defense in points per game the last 6 weeks of the season, number 1 in interceptions, number 1 in rushing touchdowns given up. And matter of fact, for the entire season, Jeremy, they were number 1 against the run. So Caleb Williams has to understand that, right? He doesn't need to uplift this team. This team is going to uplift him. Just live within the offense. And every once in a while when you need to be Superman, go ahead and put it on that cape. But I think this is a team that's a year away, Jeremy, but would not be surprised if they muddle around 8-9, 9-8, with that 9-8 record, maybe sneak into the playoffs.
Going to be a very competitive NFC North this season. Our NFL analyst, Lige Douzable, joining us to discuss quarterback Caleb Williams in his second preseason start as the Bears take on the Bengals. In terms of the odds to win Rookie of the Year, well, you have Caleb Williams at the top of that list, sitting at plus 140. Then you have Jaden Daniels, the rookie quarterback for the Washington Commanders, who looked good in his first preseason game last week. And then third in those odds, Marvin Harrison Jr., the wide receiver, Kyler Murray's new top target out in Arizona. He's at plus 850.